COVID cases continue to rise in India, with the metro cities reporting the bulk of the cases. Now, among all the main metros, Bengaluru has recorded the highest jump as it saw a 57% rise in numbers in just 24 hours. Bengaluru reported 6,812 new COVID cases. Delhi, meanwhile, saw 17,335 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours as compared to nearly 15,000 cases just the day before. Delhi case positivity rate also shot up to 17.73%. In fact, Maharashtra continues to be the worst hit state, reporting more than 40,000 new cases in the last 24 hours. Mumbai reported 20,971 new cases in 24 hours, and 371 doctors have also tested positive in the state so far. Tamil Nadu saw cases spike up to 8,981 in the last 24 hours compared to 6,983 cases the day before. In view of the rising cases, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Delhi are under the weekend curfew now.
नाही, मला असं वाटतं की गर्दी टाळली पाहिजे हा सगळ्यात महत्त्वाचा विषय. मग त्याच्यामध्ये जर गर्दी टाळण्यासाठी काही अनावश्यक गोष्टींच्या निर्बंधांची गरज आवश्यकच असेल तर मग ती अभ्यास करून करावी लागेल. परंतु आज लगेच आमचा त्याबाबतचा तसा प्रस्ताव नक्कीच नाहीये. परंतु जर कंट्रोल नाहीच झाला, लोकांनी कोविड अनुषंगिक वर्तणूक न पाळल्यामुळे काही जर मोठ्या पद्धतीनं त्या ठिकाणी नंबर्स वाढतच राहिले तर आपल्याला शेवटी जे कोमॉर्बिड लोक आहेत, सिनियर सिटीजन्स आहेत, त्यांच्या जीवाच्या काळजीच्या दृष्टिकोनातून काही अशा कडक निर्बंध वाढवण्याच्या संदर्भात सुद्धा पावलं टाकावी लागतील. नाही, नक्कीच मला असं म्हणायचं, गर्दी टाळण्यासाठी मग ते सर्व धार्मिक स्थळांची असेल, लग्नांची असेल, राजकीय असेल, सामाजिक असेल, सगळ्याच गर्दी टाळण्याच्या दृष्टिकोनातूनची सूचना राज्य शासनाच्या वतीनं डिझास्टर मॅनेजमेंट ॲक्ट आणि एपिडेमिक डिसीज ॲक्टच्या माध्यमातून देण्यात आलेली आहे. आता गरज आहे की त्याची अंमल करणं आणि ते अंमल करण्याची कारवाई आपल्याला करावी लागेल.
The concerning numbers of COVID cases are beginning to be reported from all across the country, and Bengaluru in fact has reported the highest jump so far with 57% rise in the number of cases. Also, Delhi in the last 24 hours has reported 17,335 new COVID cases. Maharashtra continues to remain the worst hit state, with Mumbai reporting 20,971 new cases alone, and the entire state has reported about 40,000 new cases in the last 24 hours. And if we talk about Tamil Nadu, the state has seen a spike of 8,981 new cases in the last 24 hours. Staying with Tamil Nadu, let's cut across to my colleague Mugilan, who is joining me on the phone line. Mugilan, I was just mentioning about the kind of spike that the state has seen. This is the weekend. It's Saturday. What are the curbs that we see imposed in the state?
Tamil Nadu of late has started a very high surge in number of positive cases. The day before yesterday, it was 6,983, but yesterday it shot up to 8,981. That is the positivity rate jumping from 4.1 to 5.4 in a single day. And likewise, Chennai is contributing maximum number of cases. 4,531 cases was reported yesterday alone, and the positivity rate was 11.5%. And along with Chennai, now we are seeing the other neighboring districts, that is Kanjipuram, Chengalpet and Tiruvallur, which are surrounding Chennai, also have started contributing cases now. So the state's COVID tally is very sharply increasing. And as you rightly pointed out, now we already know the Tamil Nadu state government have put in place several new restrictions, and tomorrow there will be total lockdown across the state, because as far as the Tamil Nadu is concerned, there will be night curfews till Saturday, and on Sunday, that is coming Sunday, tomorrow, there will be total lockdown. And we already know that all the religious places has been already shut on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and in all the places only 50% of occupancy is allowed. So now the government is taking decisions based on the caseload in the state. So when the caseload increases, we can expect the government to come up with several new restrictions. But as of now, there will be night curfew. Religious places will be shut on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The other, in all other areas, only 50% of the occupancy will be allowed, and Sunday there will be total lockdown.
Right, Mugilan, thank you so much for bringing us all the inputs from Tamil Nadu. We'll try and get a sense of what is the situation like in Delhi as well from our colleague, because Delhi, since early morning, in fact, late in the night, has been seeing a lot of downpour, a torrential downpour, which has not stopped. And the state is looking at a weekend curfew. We'd have to see how that is imposed on ground and what are the kind of restrictions that we are going to see, because as you know, Delhi has seen a rise of 17,335 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours. This is a 17.73% of positivity rate that the state is looking at. And only yesterday, we had about 15,000 cases that rose, and now the number stands at 17,335. My colleague Ayushman now joins me live on the broadcast. Ayushman, as I mentioned to our viewers, it has been raining cats and dogs in Delhi, and the state is also looking at a weekend curfew. How are the curbs going to be imposed?
Well, the curbs are going to be imposed in those areas where we are seeing normal crowding on a normal day. The markets would be regulated. We have been told that the DTC and the metros will be working at the same capacity, but the focus is that people who congregate the weekly markets that we see in the national capital, that is something which will be curbed. Currently, if you see the scenario in Old Delhi or Sarojini Nagar remains to be holding importance, and that is something which has been kept in mind in order to curb the rising numbers, and that's why the government has denied lockdown every time. But at the same time, they have said that they will be imposing restrictions, and perhaps for the first time after 6 months, we are seeing the government back in that mode of imposing the restrictions, which include the weekend lockdown, which is today.
Right, Ayushman. In fact, whether there'll be congregation in the market or not, the drains will see to it that that doesn't happen. So that's one battle won by the state police. But otherwise, the kind of restrictions imposed as far as the odd-even formula that has been resorted to when it comes to markets and malls. Just take our viewers through that as well.
Well, the regulation of market is something that the government is focusing upon. It is the markets which are operating at 100% capacity. The idea is somewhere that half of the market should open, every alternate shop should open. This is something which has been tried in last surge also. Of course, there are criticisms that it is hardly of any use, but the government maintains that it is as per the graded response action plan, which has been based on positivity. Now, if you see the positivity of national capital in the around 1 lakh cases, 1 lakh tests that Delhi government has conducted, around 17,000, more than 17,000 cases have come, and that takes the positivity rate way beyond 17.7. So this is something which has been kept in mind. They have tried to regulate the market areas where one of the shop will open, the alternate shop will close. The 50% market cap regulation is something that the government looks in order to regulate the crowd that is coming, and also social distancing and the COVID appropriate behavior is something that they want to be followed, and that's also gives them the advantage to implement it, because you are operating the market at 50% occupancy.
Right, Ayushman, stay on with me. I also am now joined by Neha Hebale from Bengaluru. Neha, even Karnataka is looking at a weekend curfew. What are the restrictions that you see on ground, and how are they being imposed? All right, we seem to have lost that link with Neha Hebale. We'll try and reconnect with Neha. But as I mentioned, the states of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Delhi are seeing a weekend curfew. We're trying to get a sense of how is the imposition of the curfew like from our reporters on ground. We just had a word with Ayushman, who continues to be with me. Also, Mugilan there taking us through the situation in Chennai, in the state of Tamil Nadu. Ayushman, I will come back to you. And in fact, I wish to understand the fact that the state has, in fact, been talking about a possible lockdown or a semi-lockdown. in the wake of the growing number of cases, because it's 17,000 plus already, is the health minister or the state per se really thinking about imposition of a semi-lockdown sort of a situation? Do we see that in the coming days?
One thing which has been ruled out by the Delhi government at several instances. In fact, the chief minister is COVID positive and he has isolated himself. The deputy CM and the health minister have categorically ruled out lockdown, because we have seen the kind of catastrophic scenes at Anand Vihar when the total large population of the migrant laborers residing in the national capital rushed to the Anand Vihar metro station and the bus station in a very short span of time. So this is something which the government is trying to avoid. They are every single time they're coming out and they're saying that there is no plan to impose lockdown, and that idea comes from the fact that the bed occupancy in the national capital currently looks at below 10%, and it is something which is giving them the confidence that most of the people who are there in home isolation can be managed at a better level, and that is something which is actually helping them to understand the factor that there is no lockdown needed. Currently, if you see the shops, market complexes, and malls dealing with non-essential services will be allowed to open on an odd even basis, is what the health minister has said. And that too, the time regulation is from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Authorized weekly markets, which we see largely crowded markets, will be allowed by 50% of the limits. These are all restrictions which we are seeing in the national capital. Today is the first time that we are seeing that. But all of this is being done to keep in mind that cases are rising. But on the question of lockdown, the government has told a big no, because that is something which causes panic in people who are daily wage workers and people who can't afford to live without the money that comes on daily basis. So this is something the Delhi government has categorically denied, that they are looking at a lockdown given the positivity rate of the national capital.
And of course, we can't really look at COVID like we were doing it in 2020. There has to be a fresh approach towards dealing with this entire situation. And that's what the doctors all along also have been saying, who have been joining us on the panel. Neha is back with me from Bengaluru. Neha, the situation there, since the state is also on a weekend curfew.
Well, that's right, Griha. Let's tell you that the Karnataka government decided to impose a weekend curfew when the positivity rate was at, just 3% itself. And they're ensuring that, they curtail the spread earlier than it goes out of their control. So having said that, what exactly is Bengaluru city seeing today? I'm going to show you visuals. In fact, right now we're outside the MG Road metro station as well. Let's tell you that the government over here has told people not to come out unnecessarily. The number of metros that are being operated today would be bare minimal, and in fact it's only for emergency or only for essential travel. And in fact, even at the metro stations, much like at the other places, people would have to show their valid relevant documents in order to ensure that the police do not stop them. Now, as far as the weekend curfew over here is concerned, it is going to be enforced till Monday 5 a.m. is what we understand. People have been asked not to loiter around unnecessarily, except for if they possess valid documents. Now, that apart, we're also only going to be seeing essential services that are functional, like the health and the medical infrastructure, of course. Apart from which, we're also going to be seeing milk booths that are remaining open, but primarily shops will have to remain shut. As far as, of course, the malls also are concerned, they too have been asked to remain completely shut till Monday. And eateries, let's tell you that, in fact, eateries too are going to remain shut and only open for, takeaways and deliveries. Dine-in would not be permitted. Now, this comes at a time when Karnataka is seeing a new high in cases. Yes, while one may, of course, argue that it might not be as high as Bombay or as Delhi, but having said that, the government too not taking a chance to wait until cases spread and go out of their control. Having said that, as of yesterday evening, the latest numbers suggest that Karnataka has reached a 7-month high. We're touching 8,000 plus cases. And this was the highest, in this wave, if you can call it that, because experts have said that the third wave is at its beginning. So let's tell you that right now also, as we're showing you the main MG Road, on any given Saturday, of course, you would have seen several vehicles over here. But today, of course, being the fact that it is a curfew, there are fewer
Absolutely.
vehicles, but there's still a good amount of vehicles. So, in a couple of hours from now, we should possibly be seeing the police to, on their feet, possibly checking people, asking them and ensuring that, people aren't traveling unnecessarily.
Right, Neha. Thank you so much for joining us with all those details.